Hey, what's up guys? It's Dustin, and now I'm sure by now you have heard of the Capital One Venture X card because it has really made some waves in the credit card market. But while you may have heard of all of its great potential and really nice features, and while I think it may even be the best travel credit card for most people, the reality is Capital One has really put an emphasis on their travel portal with the Venture X, with boosted earning rates for travel booked through their travel portal, and even a travel credit that you need to use through the Capital One travel portal. And because of that, I think a lot is riding on their travel portal. So we really need to look at their portal to see how it is. This includes things like pricing, booking options, and even some of the other features the Capital One travel portal may offer. Because let's be real here, if the portal sucks, then the credit isn't going to be as useful, and the extra point earnings from using their travel portal, it doesn't seem as good as advertised. So I decided to take a look. Now, there are some really good things about their travel portal and some things they really need to fix because I can see it being a big issue. Now, the Capital One travel portal, it is powered by Hopper, which they have some pretty sleek features that can be very useful if you're trying to find good pricing, but it's not perfect. When it comes to airfare, they offer a calendar and color code the dates for the price of the flights. Green is a great price, yellow is good pricing, orange is fair, and red is you should probably wait. There is also a pricing predictor so you can get a feel of what the prices will do in the upcoming weeks or months. You can even watch certain flights and be notified if the price drops. And lastly, they let you know of their price drop protection, where you can get up to $50 back if the price drops within that 10 days of booking. Now, all of these are very customer-friendly features and could really help people find days that could be best to travel and save them some money, or maybe find a new destination that would be cheaper. So I like it. It kind of has like a Google Flights feel to it, although it's not Google Flights. Now, I did look at some flight options against the Chase Travel Portal, since the Chase Travel Portal with the Chase Sapphire Reserve is probably the biggest competitor to Capital One here. And the first flight I looked at was flying from Boston to San Francisco. Now, on the pricing front, the Capital One Travel Portal and the Chase Travel Portal were the same cost for the same exact flights, and they even did match Google Flights, which is great to see the pricing is equal here. But a big glaring omission from Capital One here is they do not show JetBlue flights on their travel portal. So if you're someone who travels on JetBlue, at least at the time of this recording, you're not going to earn 5x for flights booked through the Capital One travel portal or be able to use your travel credit for JetBlue flights, since JetBlue flights do not currently show on the Capital One travel portal. And I think this is a pretty big gap here on Capital One. And while it won't affect everyone, myself included since I rarely fly JetBlue, I think this definitely needs to be corrected sooner rather than later. The next flight example I looked at was flying from LAX to Athens in April. And Capital One actually had better pricing than Chase, and even different flight options were available between the portals. So this is actually a good look for Capital One, since its best option was about 10% cheaper than Chase's best option. But the lack of uplift for portal redemptions may actually hinder Capital One here, since Chase's best option, while it may cost more in cash, cost about 25% fewer points. Then in the last airfare example I took a look at was flying from Austin to Honolulu in May. And Capital One was slightly more expensive than Chase here, and the American airline flight that was $466 on Capital One was only $439 on Chase. But outside of that, the prices here were in the same ballpark, but still Capital One was a few bucks more for the same exact flights. So when it comes to flight searches, the search features are pretty great on Capital One, but there are airlines missing from its travel portal, which I think is going to hurt Capital One. The other issue I read about, which is probably only going to be an issue for very few people, is that you currently cannot book same-day flights with the Capital One portal. Now, if you have that level of flexibility, that's great for you, and I can see why that would be an issue for some. So adding that functionality would be a great move on Capital One's part. But if you had a true emergency and you need to get on a plane as soon as possible, then I highly doubt you're searching a bunch of different portals to making sure you're getting the best deal. You're probably using points from an account that is the easiest to use or finding the cheapest fare over on Google Flights. Then I also decided to look at hotels. Now, the awesome price searching features that are on the flight searches are not available for the hotel searches, which there are a lot more hotel options out there, so that might be harder to scrape together. I have no idea. But if it could be done, I think it would be great. Now, the thing when it comes to hotel portals is I have found the inventory to be very different amongst all the portals, and you really don't see this until you start comparing them. So I again looked at Capital One's travel portal to the Chase travel portal, and I did filter out my searches to only 4-star properties. Now, one of the first things I noticed in searching around is the fact that the hotel inventory on the Chase travel portal has far more options than Capital One, and it was a very noticeable difference in the amount of properties between the portals, and I think this is quite the problem for Capital One. Now, don't get me wrong, they still have a lot of options for you to choose from, but they don't seem to have the full set of options, and they really need to improve that. So knowing Chase has far more options, I did try to pick hotels for this comparison that were on both portals just to get a price comparison, but there were plenty of other options you could choose from. But in our first example, we're looking at staying in Miami in March. Now, in all but one example, Capital One has the better cash pricing, with a few differences being hundreds of dollars. And even in the last example, Capital One is about 1/3 of the cost compared to Chase. But while Capital One has the better cash pricing here, their problem here is still the fact you get no uplift like you get from Chase when you redeem your points, which does help Chase as far as point redemption costs. And at the same time, while Chase might be lower in point cost, this does go back to the fact the prices are quite a bit more, that you're truly not getting 1.5 cents per point in value with the Sapphire Reserve. Then we take a look at staying a week in Rome in September. Now, in these 5 hotel examples, we see Capital One be more expensive in some examples and cheaper in others. And the range here goes from being about $100 more expensive to up to $500 less. And I honestly don't mind some variance because I do think that is to be expected with these travel portals, but some of these price swings are pretty nuts. But again, the point cost is more expensive from Capital One compared to Chase. Then in our last hotel comparison, we look at staying a week in Bogota in November. And in 4 of the 5 examples, Capital One is the better cash price option, being anywhere from about $75 to $250 cheaper. And that is a pretty large savings considering the overall cost of a hotel stay. But man, the prices for a week in Bogota are nice and very low. Now, what I see from the Capital One travel portal is in many of the hotel prices compared to Chase, the Capital One travel portal does a pretty good job as far as pricing. But even though the prices seem great, we do have to keep in mind that these examples were properties that I could find on both portals. The Capital One portal just doesn't have the inventory options that Chase does, but you still have plenty of options to choose from. The other negative for Capital One is the lack of uplift for hotel redemptions. But one piece Capital One has over Chase here is that you can book hotels for the same night. Chase doesn't seem to have that option in the travel portal. You have to book for the following night as the earliest option. Then as far as car rentals, I actually don't look too much at car rentals since I don't rent them. But a huge miss here is not having the ability to book cars through Hertz to the Capital One travel portal. Now this does seem like a miss since you get Hertz car rental status. So ideally, you would want to be able to book a car through Hertz to the Capital One travel portal for the great 10x earnings plus your status. And this does seem to be limited to only a few car rental companies. So again, this does need to be addressed to include more car rental companies in their travel portal. So with all of that in mind, let's talk about the good and the bad of the Capital One travel portal. Now, the Capital One travel portal is very user-friendly with some great features that can be useful for a flexible traveler or just someone looking to get a great deal. The flight search calendar by fare prices is solid, and the pricing overall for the hotels seem to be pretty good, although it's not perfect. But if there's something I've noticed in doing these portal videos is the fact that there are price differences amongst all the portals, and there's not one portal that gets the best pricing all the time. So when you deal with them, you have to operate with those portal limitations, even if it is frustrating. Then with the eraser, you can actually pay for your flight or hotel, earn your 5 or 10x multiplier, then redeem those points for that transaction. So it's a nice way to get a little bit extra there. Now, while the Capital One travel portal might have some fancy coloring or some other nice features, this portal is far from perfect. Let's first address the fact the portal has airlines missing from its searches. And we're not talking some low-cost carrier, but airlines like JetBlue that have a pretty good network and fly millions of people per year. Capital One needs their portal to include more airlines, including popular options, since there is an incentive to book airfare through their portal. Then as far as hotels are concerned, while the pricing seems pretty decent, the lack of inventory compared to Chase was pretty significant. And I didn't even look at other portals, but I do feel the inventory would be less compared to them as well. And I wasn't just looking at boutique differences, but this included chain hotels like Hyatt and Hilton's. So Capital One somehow needs to increase the hotel options for customers. Then lastly, the lack of uplift when using your points through the portal, it could be hindering Capital One. Because while the cash prices might be cheaper in some of the options we looked at, people are going to see the Chase portal cost fewer points and may put up with higher cash costs to use fewer points. But I honestly don't expect Capital One to change how they use their eraser function, but the difference in point cost is just hard to miss. Now, the Capital One travel portal has some potential, but if Capital One cannot address some of the pretty glaring issues, it's going to cause frustration for customers. And I feel a lot rides on the portal being complete and competitive. And while it has some great features, I think it still falls a little short right now. Because if you're going to tie your travel credit in boosted multipliers to the portal, then the portal should be better equipped to handle the task. I mean, it doesn't suck, but it does leave me wanting more. So while their portal needs to improve, I'm not completely writing off their portal yet or the Venture X, because I do still think the Venture X is currently the best travel credit card for most people. But Capital One definitely needs to address these issues, or they really run the risk of people feeling their travel portal credit and its limitations aren't worth the hassle. And if that happens, Capital One has a real problem on their hands. So tell me, what do you think of the Capital One travel portal? Now, if you enjoyed this video, then consider giving it a thumbs up, maybe even subscribe. But if you know someone who would find this video useful and helpful, consider sharing with them, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.